I believe that there's so much alcohol that you can drink in your lifetime, and I drank mine.
You got it.
And the next time when I come back in another life, I'm going to drink a little slower.
Okay.
So I have a little extra boost to drink in my 60s and 70s.
You have a little time with it later on. What are you doing to like fill the, the void of that?
Hard drugs.
Drugs?
A lot of hard drugs.
Yeah.
What I've done is, I suffered a little depression when I was, kind of in the pandemic, and I was drinking a lot of my tequila. And then somebody suggested mushrooms might be a way to get me out of that funk. So I started macro dosing those, and I don't have scales or anything, but it's probably more than the recommended.
Just eyeballing it?
It's like that much. I don't know if you can tell. Is that a weight measure or anything about that much mushrooms? And I got to tell you, it pulls you right out of the funk.
It does, huh?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it. I want to go to Ayahuasca. I want to have like that like mind opening experience.
Well, I did when it became really apparent that that I probably needed to quit drinking, and it came about in a couple different ways. One, my girlfriend has a beach house. It's on the main channel, the Oxnard Marina. Her house is one of them, so the neighbors are maybe 5 years older than me, and they're all drunks. And so I had no choice but to look at it. That's what you look like right there. And in 5 years, it's not going to get better. See, it gets worse.
Really?
And and they're nice people, but they're just retired drunks.
And this is actually what helped.
It just made me look at it. I mean, the doctors were saying that I have some bad numbers, and but it made it easier just to look at the natural progression of life. I got to get ready to be 70 in 5 years, right? So how am I going to get around? How am I going to function? And it was really, got to the point, especially during the pandemic, that I was, that bottle of tequila was moving. I used to keep it in a cabinet, and then it went to a coffee table, and that I didn't even have to get up, just reach over and pour a little bit. And it went from 5 to 3:30 in the afternoon, and it just, but I couldn't really see a life where I didn't drink, because number one, I'm famous for drinking, and so socially, I'm kind of the hub of social activity in some circle, and then I have a crew on the road with me all the time, and I've gotten them drunk every night for years.
Sure.
And on my nickel. And I'm like, I don't think other employers do this, every night. Let's go get trashed on me, guys, every night. Come on, let's go. So I'd heard about ayahuasca, and I thought, well, that's what I want to do. I want to go down to Costa Rica and go to a place called Rhythmia, and I told them how much I drank, and then they said, no, you can't come here because we're not set up for detox, and you're going to have problems. And and that's not what we are. It can be a byproduct, but it's not what we're here to do. So you got to quit for 15 days. And I'm like, 15 days? No way. So I went to this hypnotist in Santa Monica, and really cheesy looking operation. Guy's doing it out of his garage, and he has a brown wig that's just a little crooked. I don't know if it's all part of it or what. And he had a thin, tall glass of water with no ice that he barely sipped on. And you're in his garage, 30-year-old recliner, blue, velvety looking, and the guy's so good at what he does. And you go to 4 sessions, it's $250 a piece. Rehab's $3,000 a day in LA. So you go for a month, that's $90,000. And I went about 10 years ago. I stayed sober for 6 months I think then it was $70,000. I'm like, well, to stay sober the rest of my life is going to be pricey. And if that's all I'm getting is these 6 month chunks out of this $70,000 investment. So I went to him and so I just did what he said, the first session, I didn't quit drinking. He said, you don't have to quit drinking now. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
How long does this go?
Yeah.
A year. I went a slow program, and then you quit after the second one. And I got to tell you, I never went through any kind of detox or didn't buy. And I did the first time I quit. I was in a fucking hospital room, shaking and sweating. And now I think they were giving me pills to make me shake and sweat because it's the only time I've ever done it. And I think that I don't know that for sure. I'm making false accusations.
Sure.
But still, it entered my mind.
Yeah.
Well, why was I, because I was drinking more now than I was then. But nothing. I just quit and it didn't bother me a bit. And then I went down to Costa Rica and did a week at Ayahuasca. And it was, well, it's really nice, number one. This place, it's not a canoe down the Amazon to a corrugated tin shack with a bunch of feathered, it's not
Spit
that
darts
experience. Yeah, no. It's used to be part of a J.W. Marriott on the beach, and it was their overflow on the jungle side, so this guy bought it and turned it into this health facility. So the food's great, everything's included. You trip for 4 nights, and from like 5:30 to about midnight, and in the perfect environment. I mean, it's this big room has beds, mattresses on the floor, and they're all made up. It's all really nice, pillows and blankets, and it's very kind of ceremonial. That we do have feathers.
Sure,
there's feathers there.
Feathers help.
And there's 4 different shamans, a different one every night, and the juice is a little different every night. And the first night I did it. I tripped so hard, and I don't mind altered states, and boy, but that was a little much for me. And I wasn't exactly sure. At one point, I'm like, I can't do this 4 nights in a row.
Yeah.
There's no way. But the drug that's in it, the active ingredient, is over. It gets out of your system, just like that. And so they know exactly when it'll be over. So at midnight, when they turn on the light and say good morning, no matter how hard you were tripping before, it's not like go to bed.
Yeah.
But it's over. And
Yeah.
you're like, oh, well, I can do that. I can go to the dark side because they tell you to lean towards the dark side. So if you see a rainbow and a unicorn and this side of the street, and then there's some dude you barely recognize near a window, go that way.
Yeah.
Don't hop on the unicorn and fly over the rainbow.
Yeah.
And because there's nothing over there.
Right.
And so I was leaning into it pretty hard, and but once I found out it was over, I'm like, I can do that, as long as it's not 16 hours of when is this shit gonna go away.
Yeah.
And and the next night I went in there, and the shaman gave me like half as much, and you could drink as much of it as you want. You just can't do it past a certain time, so they know it's over when it's over. And he gave me like half as much, and he said Mother Ayahuasca is giving you the night off. And I'm like, okay, whatever you want. And it was so beautiful. They had on the back, they had all these hammocks and the great sky and monkeys and shit, and a big fire out there. And the shaman just goes, just go outside. And I said, what do I do? And just go outside and sit in a hammock, and when it's time to come in, come on in. I said, how will I know when it's time to come in? He goes, oh, you'll know. So I'm out there going, oh, it's kind of like a little light mushroom buzz. And then I opened my mouth, and the entire forest rushed into it. And I'm like, it's probably time to go in, right? And I went on in and laid down on my mattress. And some people there's vomit buckets too, because it makes people vomit.
This, yeah.
Or it gives you the shits, which is what it did for me. And so I kept having to trip and balls. I got, oh my God. And I never thought I'd walk into a room full of people throwing up in buckets and go, lucky. I got to go to this other room and shit.
Yeah.
You just throw up in your bed.